Well, hi there, and welcome to the break room. Listen, this question today, I'm just going to come out and ask, when did self-sacrifice to the point of exhaustion become normalized in the nursing culture? Listen, we're going to really get into it and show how that shows up or talk about how that shows up for us as multi-passionate nurses. So again, the cost of self-sacrifice in the nursing culture. So, again, welcome to the break room. This is your self-care safe space to escape from the day-to-day and get recharged and renewed. And sometimes we have some uncomfortable conversation, but it's all to help us grow and develop. So again, we come in here for a brief period of time with great impact so that you can return to your task at hand. And I am Deetra Dennis. I am the self-care coach for nurses. And I empower the multi-passionate nurse, and we'll talk about that a little bit more today. But I empower the multi-passionate nurse to prioritize the care of her MVP. Yes, you are your most valuable patient, and you are worth prioritizing self-care so that you can show up as the best version of yourself and impact the well-being of those connected to you, because that is important to us as multi-passionate nurses, to make an impact to those around us. And so before we get into the cost of self-sacrifice in the nursing culture, I want to go over housekeeping. You know, we have to do that first. So again, thank you for viewing on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Facebook. I really appreciate it. And those of you that are on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, become a part of the family, and click on the notification bell so that you will be alerted when I go live or when I post a video or I post in the community. And for everyone across all platforms, I really would invite you as well to like this video and share it with someone who you feel could benefit from the things that we talk about. If you feel that it's valuable to you, you know how we are. We share it with one another. And I really enjoy the comments when you have the comments. I like us having that dialogue because it feels as though even though we're virtual, we're still connecting and engaging with one another. So also, I wanted to share, I have some things that I'm planning for Nurses Week. So stay tuned. I'll have more details that will unfold over the next few weeks. So wanted to get that out of the way. I didn't want to forget that. So now let's get into it. The cost of self-sacrifice in the nursing culture. Really, I really would like to know, how did that become so normalized, that we self-sacrifice, ourselves to the point of exhaustion. I don't know. It just, even starting in nursing school, and then advanced, if you will, once we came into the nursing profession full time. But as we think about self-sacrifice, what it is sacrificing of one's own desires, interests. I would like to include, this is me adding this into the definition, our health, right? For the sake of duty or for the well-being of others. And as a multi-passionate nurse, as I, said in the intro, we will talk about it more. And just to recap, if you're new, a multi-passionate nurse, this is Deetra's, definition of a multi-passionate nurse, is we know that nursing is a calling. If you agree with me, type yes in the chat. And for us, with it being a calling, it's not just the career, it extends beyond the career, because our passions, yes, are for our patients that are assigned to us, or if you're working in a more administrative or office part, is still you're impacting patients. It may not be directly, maybe indirectly, but you're still making an impact. But also our passion is for our community, because we want our community to live at their optimal health, right? And then that passion extends to our family or those connected to us. It could be our family, family, could be our friends, and it could be our faith, our church family. So that is how I define a multi-passionate nurse, because we're on all the time, but it's more important. That is why an elevated form of self-care is what we need, because we are serving in multiple capacities. Okay. And so when I think about the self-sacrifice, when if you're a nurse that provides direct care at the bedside, the self-sacrifice may look like, you really want to go for a walk or eat off the unit, during your lunchtime, but you feel guilty because you don't want to burden your already overworked teammate with caring for your sick patient while you are taking lunch off the unit, be it walking or what have you. Now, if you are administratively or work not in direct care, patient care, you may be an educator, you may be working in managed care, anything that is not direct care. What happens here is that you are busy with back-to-back meetings, because listen, it doesn't matter what level or specialty of nursing, is demanding across the board. And I've worked in many areas of nursing, and it's very demanding. So again, in the office, I'll say more of administrative or non-direct patient care, you may have back-to-back meetings, and so you're forced to eat lunch or eat your meal on the run, or eat at your desk. Or you may have, some tight deadlines that require extended hours of working. And so therefore, again, you are exhausted, so you don't have time for you. If you are working in the community, when you are serving the most vulnerable population, sometimes that requires a lot of you to serve, right? So you are serving at the highest level, and you really, again, not having downtime. If you are, staying on the connection side, those whom you're connected, you're being a busy parent, you're being a chauffeur, taking everyone here, there, to and fro. You may even be a caregiver for a family member, and many other things. So you're being everything, or even you're the health ministry leader. And so you're making sure that the congregation is healthy. I'm not sure if you remember, I shared some time ago that I have a certification as a parish nurse. And so that is being a part of the ministry. So you're supporting your pastor. So the pastor isn't having to be the one that goes to the hospital to visit the patients all the time. You, as the parish nurse, may do that, or following up with the members when they're discharged from the hospital, or making sure they have resources or what have you. You may be creating or developing or planning, coordinating for a health fair, but the health fair doesn't end with just the screenings. You're also doing follow-up with those that had abnormal labs, or be it had abnormal blood pressure. You're continuing to follow up with them. So again, you're being everything to everybody, no downtime, and you have sacrificed yourself to the point of exhaustion. Any of those sound like you? Please, put in the chat if any of those sound like you. And so again, as a result of giving and giving and giving some more, you have nothing left to give, and it leaves you overwhelmed, overworked, and exhausted, right? And when we don't know how to set boundaries, listen, we talked about this in the signs that you're stuck on autopilot. We talked about this because you're always on and you're overcommitted. And one of the things we talked about in that particular live, then at that time it was live, but you can watch the replay. We talked about the importance of pause. Pause before you say yes to a commitment. A pause when you find yourself always on. Find time to pause, and the pause doesn't have to be a long time. And I will leave the link, if you're watching on YouTube, I will leave the link to that video in the description area. So again, those things the self-sacrifice to the point of exhaustion isn't really serving anyone well, right? It's not serving any of us well because you're not able to serve at your best because you are exhausted. Okay. So, what I want to get into now is the cost of self-sacrifice in the nursing culture. And the first one is the cost is your health, because it increased the risk of chronic conditions or chronic diseases. And I've talked about this many times before, but the American Nurses Association did a study, and it shows that nurses are less healthy than the average American. Did you know that? That, listen, deserves a pause, because we are to be the model of health. And if we are showing up unhealthy, how can we teach others of living a healthy life if we're not modeling that before them? But that research goes on to say that most often nurses are overweight, and the numbers is more than 50% of nurses are overweight, or they may have higher levels of stress, and then they're not getting enough sleep. And I want to share two examples. They're not personally to me, but I've had friends share with me, other nurse friends share with me their nurse friends that have been impacted in their health as a result of self-sacrifice. So one was one of my managers when I did work home health. She shared one of the nurses that was on the team. So if you've ever worked home health, you come out of the field and you have one day that is a team meeting. And so my manager, this again was before I started working with the company, but she just was sharing the experience with me. One of the ladies on the team had come into, for the team meeting, and she was, expressing how tired she was. And, she sat at the table and then laid her head on the desk. And what happened? She had a stroke. Right. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. But those are the things is what I'm talking about. That's that self-sacrifice to the point of exhaustion, that you're putting yourself at risk. The other one shared with me, this was one of her friends, and this particular nurse, she worked in managed care. So it wasn't bedside care or direct care. She was in managed care, working in an office setting, and she was in a leadership role. And if you live in Atlanta or ever been here, our traffic is not the best. And so commute one way can be an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to work. So, this particular nurse, she was, commuting back and forth to work, working long hours, the back-to-back meetings, and, just high demand. And when she would get home, she's not taking that hat off. She's doing all the things, preparing meals, and, still logging into work once she get home, and then going to bed late, and then getting back up and starting it all over again. Again, this nurse was at work and had a stroke. So again, the self-sacrifice can really put your health at risk. All right. So that's number one. Number two, presenteeism. Presenteeism is when you are physically there, but you're not at full capacity or functioning at capacity or functioning, fully functioning. And, the music that goes in my mind when I think of that, and I know I talk about this one all the time, what the OJ says, your body is here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. So think of if someone has the number one, have health concerns or chronic condition, you're really not able to be there fully present. Or if you're stressed, you're not able to be fully present. And we talked about the effects of presenteeism in the video, I'm here, now what? And we talked about, how it impacts the quality of care of the patient. So it's not only affecting you, but it's also affecting the patients, right? Not receiving the quality care because of presenteeism. And so the last one is dissatisfaction. What happens when we have sacrificed so much? We are on autopilot and we're just, going through the motions and not really having joy or fulfillment anymore because of the stress, or you're at burnout and there is dissatisfaction. And this again leads to burnout. And as a result, it also leads to poor patient outcomes because, again, you're not fulfilled and you're not bringing your whole self to your job, to your role. Okay. And I know that there have been many nurses not just leaving a job, but they're leaving the nursing career altogether because of being at the state of burnout. And, I've had others who are in the side where I consider the connection as far as health ministry leaders, that they are, backing away from that because they're just exhausted, just totally exhausted. And so I invite you, if you will, think of this in the nursing profession. It is the belief that self-sacrifice is number one, is rewarded. I don't know why, but it is. It has been normalized. And many times the belief is that self-sacrifice is required in order to serve others. But I want to invite you to release. It's time for us to release that mindset, because it's not serving us. It's not serving us. It's not serving the patients well. And it's time to do things different. And I hope that this has really been helpful for you and really an eye opener. Hope that you found value in this. Again, as a recap, the cost of self-sacrifice in the nursing culture, it impacts our health. It causes presenteeism and is also dissatisfaction. And so I would love to hear your comments, and what self-sacrifice and belief will you release? I know I just mentioned 3, but what will you release, so that we can be on the other side, so we can truly serve from the highest level and serve and show up as the best version of ourselves. And we don't have to sacrifice ourselves in order to serve, right? We can serve others and preserve ourselves. We can do that. All right. And so, I love to end with a quote. So today, listen closely at this one. As we give, so shall we receive. Service does not mean self-sacrifice. It means giving the needs of another person the same priority as our own. So again, I thank you so much for viewing and tuning in on today, and I look forward to our time together next week. Have a wonderful